My background before going to school to be a teacher, I have an environmental science degree. And just like that's a super important connection for me to cultivate. Um, we one of the reasons we partner with other organizations isn't just support, but it's a good way to start sort of like tangible conversations and thinking with students. We have a food rescue project in the region that gets produce and dairy and other things donated through mostly grocery stores and some local farms that was being pulled from the shelves, but is still perfectly fine just because other stock was coming in and they can't just hold everything. So we bring in boxes of food and sort through it and look at where it came from and that it's still perfectly good. Although, you know, sometimes we have to compost about 5% of what we receive, and sort of how we can create menus and thinking and cultural connections. And also, you know, the super important, a lot of the students don't consider that about 50% of the food that comes into North America and is produced here ends up directly in the waste without ever being consumed. So, you know, sort of working with that food. So we sort of repurpose it and use it in a lot of our programs. And then we started doing once a month or once every other week sort of community meals where the students use that rescued food, come up with their own recipe ideas, and we invite anybody who is at the school to come and share some food with us. So the community building capacity, because talking about environmental and sustainability issues can get really heavy. And I don't just want to discourage students. I want to, you know, sort of enact them that they can make choices and contribute to solutions. So we do this in foods, and about 2 or 3 years into running a foods program, we also created an elective sustainability course, which has, you know, obviously a core focus on environmental issues. The kids have to come up with like different levels of actionable change. So after they learn about a lot of basic issues and largely connected to food, they come up with their own plan on what actions they can take over a 2-week period, track how things were before they took their actions, track how they went, and then reflect on whether they could sustain that action, if other people could maintain those choices as well. And then we do that at the class level and at the school level as well. So we host like pop-up thrift shops and raise funds for local charities, and the students get to research and choose which charities we're going to support. And we host a little farmers market and bring in stuff from our garden and through local farms, and look at, you know, how growing your own or buying from a nearby farm that we were able to visit and know that they have sustainable practices, and whether they're certified or uncertified organic and other choices they make. And compare that to most of the things we see on the grocery store shelves and where, you know, most people are able to access their food. And a lot of environmental choices have big economic implications. So not everyone has the same to choose different things. Yeah, and then just by I think just, you know, immersive education, like just by the act of making sure that the class is outside regularly, looking at we bring in some local indigenous traditional food system through when the weather's not nice, having elders do storytelling and lead demonstrations or cooking in a class, but also when the seasons are more cooperative, going to the salmon run, going to harvest wild plants, and going to the beach and talking about, you know, shellfish and seaweed, and sort of contrasting that again to how our food system looks now for most of us. And then, because I'm one teacher in one classroom, to sort of, you know, have those opportunities reach beyond that, we host professional development that all the sessions have an environmental focus, and we usually attract 30 to 60 teachers from across our district. We've created a district farm to school team so that we're able to share resources and support each other and put in larger scale grant applications. We've been able to hire a part-time school garden education support coordinator that gets to spend 1 day a week at each of the school gardens that are participating in that, and work directly with students. So, you know, bringing in additional expertise that have strong environmental connections.